Welcome to Talkin' Mets with Rob. Subscribe to the channel for all your New York Mets in-game live, pre-game, post-game, roundtable podcast, and all the breaking news for our New York Mets. Enjoy the show and let's go Mets.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans drift in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. Happy 4th of July to all baseball fans, exclusively Mets fans, but of course all baseball fans, as we are ready to watch baseball games. The national pastime, guys. 4th of July just feels right to play baseball on the 4th of July. Now, unfortunately, I don't like the fact that the Subway Series is on 4th of July weekend or Friday into the weekend. I think it's kind of silly. But that's the way the schedule plays out, and both teams got to play. And again, obviously it's going to be packed ballpark, the packed games, every game, no matter if it was 4th of July or not. But it brings a little bit more of, I guess, a full circle of baseball being the national pastime. And I know it's not really called that anymore because it kind of is like the third biggest major sport in this country right now when it comes to football and basketball. I kind of beg to differ when it comes to baseball to basketball, but again, each their own opinion. But we are playing some baseball on this 4th of July, and it is Subway Series, and it now moves over to CitiField in Queens. And with the Yankees getting swept in Toronto for 4 games, the Mets coming off just a terrible stretch of games, getting their ass beaten by the Pittsburgh Pirates, they find a way to take 2 out of 3 against one of the hottest teams in baseball in Milwaukee. The Brewers were coming in red hot, and the Mets found a way to win 2 out of 3. And I'm not sure how they done it, to be quite honest with you. Yesterday's game, the Mets won 3-2. It was a close game, obviously. The Hoskins just foul home run, and just a little bit of clutch hitting here and there for the Mets to squeak by with a victory. But you can't really enjoy too much of it, even though the Mets got back on the winning ways, winning 2 out of 3, winning 2 in a row. But you got the Blackburn injury. Not even an hour ago, Jose Butto is now on the IL. You got Nunez on the IL. And we all know about Senga. We all know about Griffin Cannon. Obviously, Shomanai is not in this rotation right now. The fact of the matter is that the Mets pitching is just, I don't even know who's pitching today besides Justin Hageman as the starter today, because we used our high leverage relievers yesterday. Jose Butto would have probably pitched today if he was healthy. He's not healthy. I think it's an illness, not a physical injury. It's an illness, whatever that means. Maybe he got COVID. I know people might not care about that, but it's still a thing in sports where, guys can get really dehydrated and really, under the weather and not play to their potential. So it could have been that. Again, it's a medical situation, so who knows illness wise. But I don't know who's pitching today after Hageman, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. A couple, Davinsky's come up, multiple guys has come up. You're gonna have Wandell pitch on Sunday most likely. there's a possibility that, and I do think this is what's going to be the case, guys, as we really get into deep dive into this ball game today to preview the Subway Series Game 1 at CitiField. If Hageman can't go at least 5 innings, and so let's say that, not that he pitches badly or, let's say he pitches 3 innings because, his pitch counts is up there and he just doesn't seem like he has it. I think Waddell, who is supposed to pitch on Sunday, is probably going to piggyback off of Hageman. That's the only thing I can think of. And that's when you'll see Brandon Sproat, a Mets top prospect, come up and pitch. That's the only reason why I think that Sunday is kind of up in the air, because if Hageman can go 5 innings, 6 innings, even if he gives up, 3-4 runs, and he can get into the 5th or 6th inning, I think that's more than enough that we can ask for a guy that, has been up and down this year from the minors to the big leagues. And he's pitched fine with a 1.5 ERA. He's been all right. But we need length, right? As much as we can talk about quality starts and everything like that, could we get somebody other than, Peterson's hanging on for dear life in this rotation. He had a really good start yesterday and, really dug down. He didn't have his best stuff, but he really did dig down and get whatever he could out of the way he pitched yesterday, because he didn't really have great stuff, but he battled through, which is a good sign for Peterson. But overall, I just don't understand the fact that David Stearns has 3 pitching prospects in your top 10 who are highly regarded. Jonah Tong has took a big step 2 years in a row. McLean, ever since he's decided not to be a two-way player and focus on the pitching end, he's been outstanding. Now, Brandon Sproat has struggled in AAA, but his last start was one of his best starts at the highest level of the minors. So I just don't know. I'm not saying bring up all 3 guys. I get that. But if David Stearns talks about them and highly talks about them and, talks about their confidence and how good they can be and, what they could be in the future, then why are you worried if you only have to bring them up for a spot start or 2? Even if they don't pitch well, I don't think that's going to break their confidence when they get sent back down. They'll just keep developing. So, there's a possibility that Jonah Tong might not be up at all this year. And that was a report, I believe, from Mike Puma, if I'm not mistaken, that the Mets don't see Jonah Tong as a guy who's going to potentially be up here with their decision. And it has to do with service time. I'm sorry to say, I was going back and forth with somebody on TikTok when I made a video about that, why I think it's idiotic not to bring these kids up when you don't have no other choice. I'm sorry. Tong, Sproat, and McLean, I don't care if they're not going to be good pitchers, but I know that there's a higher level, possible higher level than Hageman, than before Blackburn got hurt, Blackburn. And then even Waddell, if he pitches on Sunday, even Frankie Montas for that matter, even though he's a professional starter. Like, I just don't understand it. You can't have these guys at high regards and continue to talk about them and, always talk about your farm system every time David Stearns talks, but you're not using them when you're in desperate need. This isn't a situation where you have one guy out of your rotation and you got to bring him up for a spot start. I understand you might not want to do that, but you are in shambles right now when it comes to your pitching, not just your rotation. You got multiple guys injured in your bullpen, top level guys that you used the last 2 days that are not going to be available today. There's a possibility Diaz might not even be available, even though I think he said yesterday he could be available, but you got to get to that point. Who's pitching today after Hageman? If you're not going to use Waddell and you're going to keep him for the Sunday start, what's going to happen? Where are you getting these innings from? And you hope he can go 4 or 5 innings. Like, I just don't understand that. All I've heard from this Mets organization is the farm system. These guys are not in single A. These guys are in double A and triple A. Right? Double A is the better league than triple A. I always guide myself on a prospect, what they do in double A more than triple A. Because triple A is mostly guys that are hanging on for dear life for their MLB careers. And it's failed prospects there. And guys who are injured that are trying to recover and do rehab starts. That's what triple A is for now. It's not, double A is where the best players are and usually where you get the best out of these guys. It's the best against the best. Best prospects against the other best prospects. So I just don't understand. And this has nothing to do with the Yankees. That's why I haven't even brought them up yet. Because this has nothing to do with the Yankees. This has more to do with the Mets getting back on track, right? They finally got to that 50-win mark, right? They're back to 12 games over 500. That's nice to see. But we have to, like, it's not about the Yankees. Like, I don't, this is not going to be the end all be all. I want to win because we need to get back on the winning track, not because of bragging rights. You know, it's fun for a day. But after this series, the Mets move on and they play somebody else. I want to get W's. And I don't feel like the Mets, David Stearns, is doing enough to internally, which he has. Like, for years, the Mets didn't have guys from the minor leagues that were any good to bring up and say, all right, I can see why you brought him up. But you have guys that have so much potential. At least they're telling us they have that much potential. Why are these guys? You're thinking about Sproat over McLean and Tong, yet Sproat has been worse than both of those guys. So I just don't understand it. And there was somebody on TikTok that was going back and forth on the video that I said to bring up the prospect, or at least 2 out of the 3 when you need them. And he's like, "Oh, you want your prospect pitching to throw 100 innings in each level of the minors?" Yeah, when you have the option, when you don't need them at the big league level, and they're in AA or AAA, and they've been pitching great at those leagues, or really good in those levels. The fact of the matter is, you need these guys. That is the whole point of bringing these guys up, and them going through the levels of the minors, and they're at a point where all they're doing is you're wasting the bullets of innings in the minors. And I'm not saying Jonah Tong is completely developed, or McLean, or even Sproat for that matter. But you need somebody, right? This could be a Jacob deGrom situation. Was Jacob deGrom ever ready? Right? Nobody was expecting him to be this good. Like, you needed him to be a spot starter, and you brought him up. It happened to be against the Yankees, and a kind of similar situation here. But again, it didn't matter who they were playing. The fact of the matter is, as soon as Blackburn went down, there should have been no discussion. There should have been 2 words: McLean Tong, or McLean Sproat, in this series for Friday and Sunday. You could have even pushed back Peterson another day, let him pitch in his series, and throw Tong or McLean. I think Tong was the one that was supposed to pitch yesterday. Pitch him yesterday then. It just doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And if you lose these games based on pitching not being good, well, guess whose fault it is? Yeah, okay, next man up, blah, blah, blah. But does anybody expect Hageman, even though the Yankees, have struggled just as much as the Mets? I mean, the Mets have struggled more, but the Yankees right behind them in struggles. If you go back to the Blue Jay series, as they got swept the 4 games, they did score a lot of runs, unlike the Mets that scored 5-3 or 7-3, excuse me. So, the Mets have been struggling to score runs. In the Toronto Blue Jay series, the Yankees lost a lot of high-scoring games. So they've been scoring runs. Does anybody believe Hageman's going to shut down this lineup? I don't know. Probably not. So I just don't understand the fact that the whole point of building a farm system, once again, is to use them if needed at the level that is most important, which is the big league level, to win ball games, or you trade them to get better players in here. That's the whole idea. You've been playing around with Acuna, Beatty, Vientos, and Mauricio for the whole season. Playing around with these guys, up, down, inside out, not playing them. Let's run them. Let's do this. Let's do that. You basically halted Acuna's development because you needed him to be a bench player for some reason, to run and pinch run and play defense, when he lost the job. I understand that, but you're not helping the situation here. And you're doing this with the pitching now, where what are you afraid of? They don't pitch well? Well, you know what? I'd rather a kid that might not be 100% quote unquote developed yet, and maybe not ready for prime time. But when are you going to do it? This is the perfect time to do it. You need arms. I don't want to see Hageman. I know what he is. I don't want to see Waddell. I know what he is. Maybe Sproat and McLean actually look decent. And maybe you can not rush Manaea and pitch him another rehab start. Maybe you can, give Kodai Senga an extra rehab when he starts his rehab. If those guys pitch decently and look like they're actually, performing well. Or at least have stuff and look like they're not, you see the confidence on the mound at the big league level. What is it? That's the issue. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, there's no need for this. You can use Hageman and Waddell. Throw them in the bullpen. Clearly, you need the arms there. That's the other thing, where the situation calls for needing arms in the bullpen, especially after the last 2 days as you used a lot of your high-leverage relievers. Now with Budo out, why not put Hageman and Waddell in the bullpen and put Sproat and McLean in the rotation, at least for this series, or maybe even 2 starts? Like, you need extra arms. Why doesn't that make sense? You'll have Hageman and you have Waddell to piggyback off of Sproat and McLean when the first time they pitch, if they have trouble with their pitch count and they can't go, 4 or 5 innings or 5 or 6 innings. Wouldn't that make more sense? But now you're using Hageman, who could be a long man in the bullpen. You can use Waddell, who is a long man in the bullpen. That could be used in the bullpen as well. And you could have pitched these 2 guys, and you have them piggyback off of whoever's pitching that day. So if they don't have it, you can bring in one of these veteran guys or one of these guys that Hageman and Waddell. I just don't understand it. Like, all around the league, right? Prospects are coming up all over the place. The Mets, what is it? Is it service time? Don't tell me they're not developed. I don't want to hear that, right? You need arms. Bring them up. Like, you just got to stop. You got to stop babying these guys. Like, we talk about prospect hugging. This is basically, putting them on the bed and rubbing their head to sleep. Like, why are we babying these guys now? Tong has took a huge step. The Mets wouldn't even had a conversation about Jonah Tong 2 years ago. He was not supposed to be where he is right now. Give the kid a chance. He's proved that at every level. I know he's not at AAA yet. But he's proved so much in 2 years. Give the kid a chance here. With a big crowd at home, just do it. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, what is the point of building up this farm system when you're going to half-ass the needs of this team? And clearly you're not trading for people. What are you going to do? Find more people on waivers that are no good? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I just don't understand. I apologize for ranting about this, but it's so frustrating because you're trying to feel good about the last 2 games against the Brewers. Because, again, the Brewers were red hot. They were one of the hottest teams in baseball coming into this series. And the Mets took 2 out of 3 against them, and that's a good sign. But how can you feel excited when, all right, David Peterson, really, digged in and did what he could yesterday with not great stuff, but he battled. This should be going into the series. We should have the confidence. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have the confidence. And that sucks to say because they played very well these last 2 games. But I don't have no confidence. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why do we have to go win a 9-8 ball game if that's even the case? I'm not saying Marcus Stroman is any good, but still, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. It makes no sense. I wrote this in one of the a tweet on X. This is malpractice by David Stearns in baseball sense. You need arms. You have an opportunity to potentially show your fans that this is why we built up our farm system. Bring up 2 out of these 3 guys. You could have put Hageman and Waddell in the bullpen, and you can have those guys ready for whatever guy you want to piggyback off of, just in case if he doesn't go deeper into a game, like doesn't go past the fourth inning. So you maybe need 2 or 3 innings from one of these guys. Because I don't know who's going to come in. You can put Davinsky in after Hangman comes out in the fourth inning. It just doesn't make sense. And, Brian, I understand about the whole big market thing, but this has nothing to do with big markets. This is just common sense. Like, even small market teams do this. It just doesn't make sense. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. I'm supposed to be happy with a 2 out of 3 against the Brewers, one of the hottest teams in baseball. And now we're going into a series against a struggling Yankees team that just got swept in Toronto, that played a night game yesterday. The Mets should have every opportunity, and the Mets fans should be ready to go. But yeah, of course we're going to be excited. We're winning 2 in a row. Let's go. Let's get it done. But, I mean, how are you going to get it done? Right? If this first inning becomes a disaster in the top of the first, how are you feeling? Not very good. So I just don't understand it. Yeah, I just don't understand it. Yeah, Dola, I understand that Sproat might start on Sunday, and that's fine. But they haven't made that decision yet, which is even more stupid. Now, internally, they might have already made a decision. And Sproat's probably on his way here already, or it's probably here. But the fact that there isn't another one of these kids pitching today is idiotic. It's stupid. It makes no sense. Like, I can't even come up with a reason why they haven't put 2 out of these 3 kids in this series. Because it doesn't make sense. I can't come up with a reason. I try, trust me. I try to think, like, what is it? Like, you can't tell me they're not developed. You got one guy in AAA and the other guy in AA. 2 guys in AAA, 1 guy in AA. Like, let's see it. Even if it is for 1 spot start, who cares? Who cares? You need innings. You need competent somebody that can actually look like they've thrown a baseball before. Yeah, Dolo, I think all of us probably like Sproat more than Tong and McLean. But I think the fact that Sproat's here because he might have more innings than all these guys in AAA, so let's throw him out there, even though he hasn't pitched better than these guys. Like I just don't understand that. And this is the thing about earning. This is why I was pissed off about Acuna starting the season on this team when he clearly didn't deserve it in spring. And everybody went back to last year for what, 25 games? Like, give guys the opportunity who deserve it. Like Vientos, when Beatty was struggling last year, Vientos was going crazy in the minors. He deserved to come up and try to win that spot. Acuna didn't deserve anything in spring training. I'm sorry, it should have been somebody else. Even if it was a veteran, it should have been Beatty and somebody else, not Acuna. This just goes back to the issues that I have with this organization. They continue to give guys that don't deserve to be here. You have not pitched well. Why do you get the option over a guy who's pitched better than you? It's stupid. It is stupid. It is laziness from David Stearns. There is no reason these guys can't be here. It's unfortunate. And coming off winning 2 games in a row and winning the series finally, after a while, not winning the series, you win a series against one of the hottest teams in baseball in the Brewers, who had better pitchers going for you. And you need to continue the winning ways. Again, this is not about the Yankees. This has nothing to do with the Yankee series. I can care less. Like, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's back talk, back and forth, and all that fun stuff. But you notice Yankee fans are extremely quiet, right? You know why? Because they're not looking good either. But I don't care. I want to stack W's. That's the whole idea, regardless of who you're playing. I don't think David Stern is putting Mendoza number 1 and the team in the best position to win. Because what is Mendoza supposed to do? He used Stanek for what? An inning and a third yesterday? Inning and 2/3? He used Diaz 2 days in a row. Buto's obviously hurt. Like, Brazaban might be available. Great. Maybe Garrett. And, like, like Mendy has no choice but to use anybody he can. Like, that is a problem. People keep on blaming Mendoza. Why? Who does he trust? Like, Stanek hasn't pitched good, but that was the only guy that was actually available. And he finally figured something out, and that's a good sign. And he had to use Diaz in the ninth. Like, Mendoza's hands are tied here, and I blame David Stearns. When you don't help your manager by bringing these kids up, you need starting pitching. They are starting pitchers. They're not in single A. If they were in single A, I probably understand it. I will understand it. But these guys are in double A and triple A. Throw them up there. Let's see what they got. Give Mendoza options. The fact that Mendoza has no options is, again, malpractice on David Stearns' part. You leave your manager handcuffed. Because Sproat's probably going to pitch on Sunday because of the fact that Hageman is probably going to go maybe 4 innings. That's probably the good end. And Waddell's probably going to piggyback. And that's why Sproat's going to be here. But you could have Hageman and Waddell in the bullpen while 2 out of these 3 young kids are up pitching in this series. So you have long men just in case they can't go deep, or at least 5 innings. You could actually protect your bullpen a little bit more, where you might get into game 2 and 3 where you have more of your guys. So I just don't get it. I'm annoyed. I really am. Well, Brian, yeah, I know his stats, but that's what I'm saying. Tong and McLean has had better stats than Brandon Sproat. I don't care if it's AA or AAA. They have better numbers. Bringing up Sproat just tells these guys that it doesn't matter if you do better than another top prospect. It's who they quote unquote like. That's a problem. That's a problem. Acuna, just like at the beginning of the year, didn't deserve to be on this opening day roster. Why? Because he didn't perform in spring training. Spring training, especially if you have holes, you give it to the best guy who performed the best. Now, that might not work out when the season starts, but stop giving it the opportunity to people who don't deserve it. It's just annoying. 73 innings, 115 strikeouts. Like, easy. Here's the problem. Because Jonah Tong could have a better 4 innings than Hageman. That's why. Because he has better stuff. Now, that might not translate. We don't know. But why not find out? Because what if he does pitch, put up zeros for the first 4 innings? Here's the difference. And this is why it makes more sense. Rather than worrying about who's better and what innings they're going to pitch, or how many innings and what pitch count and ever, easy. Let me tell you why it's a better decision to put these kids to start these games. I'm going to tell you why. Why? Because when you throw Hageman, and if, let's say you throw him in the bullpen, and let's say Jonah Tong starts today, right? If Jonah Tong does pitch only 4 innings, regardless of how many runs he gives up or whatever, he throws 4 innings. They want to protect them. No problem. Hageman can come in as a long man and pitch 2 or 3 innings. That's why. Same thing goes for Sproat. If you put Sproat on Sunday, Waddell can actually be a long man if you Sproat only goes 4 innings. So not only do you have your long men go after those guys, you protect your guys that are most crucial in your bullpen, like the Brazzavans, like the Garretts, like the Staneks, like the Diaz. You might not have to use them in situations you might not want to pitch them that day. That's why it makes more sense. It doesn't even have to do with who's going to be the better pitcher or who might pitch well today. It doesn't matter. But you're forcing Mendoza to have less options to go to. That's why it's a stupid decision, regardless of that issue. Yeah, easy. He could give up 4 runs in the first inning. I understand that. Absolutely. But let me tell you right now, easy. Would you rather have Tong or Hageman right now in this game? If you say Hageman, you're just trying to have an argument. It's stupid. The fact of the matter is, you can have options for Mendoza. Mendoza has no options going into these games at all. The reason why they're thinking about Sprout, and this is the reasoning, and it's terrible planning. Here's the reasoning. They're thinking about Sprout for Sunday because they're hoping on God's green earth that Hageman can go 5 innings. If he doesn't and goes less than that, Waddell, who's supposed to pitch on Sunday, who's scheduled to start, is going to piggyback off of Hageman. So not only do you plan is based on what Hageman does in this game or during this game is the reason that Waddell, who might be preparing for a start on Sunday, now also has to prepare just in case he gets called into this game. You see the stupidity in that? It's dumb. It's bad planning, and you give your manager no options in this series. It's dumb. Why not give? Like, that's all we talk about is these goddamn prospects. Fucking use them. What are we doing? Then you know what? Fuck it. Trade them all. Trade them all and bring people who actually can pitch this in every 5th day. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick. Yeah, easy. It doesn't matter to you right now because, again, you'll be the first one bitching when Hageman goes 2 innings and then Waddell has to come in, hopefully give you 3 or 4 innings. If not, you're really fucked for the next 2 games. Because now you're really counting on Montez to be not a total disaster. And who knows what you're going to get from Sprout or Waddell or whoever might be pitching on Sunday. Fuck, you and me might be pitching the way the Mets are planning things. I'm sorry, but it's stupid. Either fucking use these guys or trade them. You didn't spend no money, no real money on this rotation because of these guys. In Tong, in Sprout, in Tidwell, in McLean. You need them. Use them. Then why are you here, David Stearns? To just be a mouthpiece? You just put your manager behind the 8 ball. You gave him no options. Congratulations. You did a great job here. Not only do you go to cheap route with every freaking pitcher, right? Minaya, you went the cheap route. He took less money to come back. Everybody. Clay Holmes, he's a starter, he's a reliever. He's a starter, he's a reliever. Let's give him a starter. Why not? Let's give him money. Why not? I'm sorry. I am sorry. It's stupid. And you know what? This is all on David Stearns because he put himself in a situation where most likely these guys all weren't going to go work out. And also you brought guys in here and that you trusted that have injury issues. And then they get hurt and you're shocked. Hello? Did you pay attention last year? Right? The guys he inherited. And when you inherit these guys, you know their history. You got to prepare in the offseason for that potential. Don't bring in, like, how many more 4th or 5th starters are we going to have in this team? It's stupid. So, here we are. Subway Series, 4th of July, national pastime on the 4th of July on Independence Day. And you would never think, listening to me, we won the last 2 games against the Brewers. But you know why? Because David Stearns made this happen and set up this spot in this series. That's what he did. Now, we all hope that this offense dominates the Yankees pitching. They haven't done it in a series. Now, they looked better in the last 2 games against the Brewers. I'm not saying they break out of it. They broke out of it by any means. But this is a situation here with the pitching staff in limbo from rotation to bullpen where you need this Mets team to come out and just destroy offensively. They need to make this game a no contest. Like, beat up on Stroman. There's no reason why the Mets can't hit Stroman. He sucks. Beat up on Stroman. And you know what? Make this a laugher. But again, with the Mets pitching, and God knows who's pitching after Hageman, and even with Hageman, how do we know that they're not going to score a ton of runs? And a close game, regardless if it's a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game, is going to make you use your better pitchers that are available in the bullpen, which is fine. No, easy. It's not about Stearns going, look, no matter what we think of Stearns, he's staying, right? Cohen loves him. So it is what it is. But you can't tell me that he didn't make a good decision here. He left his manager with no options. He's folding his hands and saying, well, Sproat will pitch on Sunday. No, say Sproat is pitching on Sunday so Waddell can piggyback off of Hegeman so you can save your bullpen. That should be the plan. And I guarantee you, that is probably the plan. And they're probably, I don't know, they're trying to trick out the Yankees here. Like, hey, Waddell's pitching Sunday. No, Sproat is. Come on, the Yankees aren't idiots. All right? They probably have a pretty good idea that Sproat's pitching. So that is the issue. It's not about Stearns, who wants Stearns not here or not, or do want him here or not want him here. The fact is, he's going to be here. So we all have to deal with it, like it or not. But to say that what I'm saying is wrong about David Stearns, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Malpractice. That's what David Stearns is. No, I'm not saying Stearns is terrible, but he did put this organization in a situation where, wow, the farm system is getting better. Now, it's not all of him doing that. He inherited a lot of these guys, but a lot of guys took big jumps this year and last year where you have the option of using these guys when you have major holes. Last time I checked, you got major holes in this rotation and bullpen. That's why you got these guys. And you know what? If you don't pitch any of these guys in the biggest holes you have in your rotation all year, then you know what? At the deadline, they shouldn't be on this organization. They need to be traded for guys that actually can help this team. 100%. Now, Stearns, terrible? No. But he did put this team in this situation. When you go to cheap route and you bring in guys that nobody else wanted because either they sucked their entire career or they had been injured recently in the past, what did you expect? Like, what did you expect? So, yeah, he brought in these guys with injury history, guys who've never been good in their career. And then when they're either bad, injured, or both, it's like, oh, my God. Oh, no. Yeah. Like, you don't need a crystal ball to figure that one out. So, we got Justin Hegeman starting today against the Yankees to start the Subway Series on this 4th of July. You got Marcus Stroman. Again, Marcus Stroman could be always interesting. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He always does against the Mets, right? When he left this organization, he badmouthed them. And, he still acts like he's one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball when he's not even the top probably 50, 60, 70. Like, he's a fringe rotation arm. And the only reason why he's in this rotation because of the injuries of the Yankees, not because he's pitched well. So maybe this will be a high-scoring game. But even if this is a high-scoring game for both teams, it's going to end up being a close high-scoring game where both teams have to use guys they probably don't trust. Go back to the Yankees. Look at the Mets and the Yankees. How many high-leverage relievers they used because the games were close enough where they had to win them ball games. Now, the Mets won the last two. The Yankees lost the last two, and obviously the last four. They use so many high leverage guys. So a high scoring game, even if it's close, is going to be disastrous for both teams. So, at least isn't Rodon and Free going in this series? Right? But at least they got guys that you can probably go into a game having confidence in. Max Fried, you can probably book 7 innings. Rodon, who the hell knows, but he's pitched better than he did in years, last year. But you got guys that are actually starters, real guys. That, by the way, the Yankees gave a lot of money in years to, unlike Stearns. So we'll see. We'll see. Like, am I going to watch this game and root for this team? Absolutely. Of course, right? I'm going to root for every guy to win, but you just don't know. So, unfortunately, we got to watch a game where you got Marcus Stroman pitching for the Yankees, who shouldn't be in a rotation. You got Justin Hegeman that might not even should be in the majors. But we got very interesting game today because the Yankees offense, if you looked at the Toronto series once again, they've scored runs. So their offense has been scoring runs now. They left a ton of men left on base, just like the Mets. But they would go 4 for like 15, the Yankees, in a game, but they'll score 5 or 6 runs. The Mets, on the other hand, will go 1 for 14. Now, again, the last 2 days have been better for them. The lineup, kind of status quo in the top 4. Nimmo, Lindor, Soto, Alonso. You got McNeil batting 5th, Terrence batting 6th. Beatty, Mauricio batting 7th, 8th, and Taylor rounding out the lineup at batting 9th, playing center field. The Yankees got Dominguez, who had a hell of a game yesterday in Toronto, probably their best player in that series in Toronto. He's been coming on lately. Aaron Judge, we all know about Aaron Judge. If the Mets pitch to Aaron Judge, they all need their head examined. Don't let Aaron Judge beat you. Hasn't this been the moral of the story for the last couple of seasons? Even with Juan Soto last year, you don't pitch to Aaron Judge. You're more likely to get Soto out than Judge out when they were together with the Yankees. There is nobody that has any inkling that Aaron Judge should beat you, right? First inning, you want to go after him? Okay, I'm not going to go crazy. Even if Dominguez gets on in the first inning, you can't walk first and second, nobody out, right? First inning, I don't care. But then from that point on, if he comes up in the 3rd inning, 4th inning, whatever, you walk him. Let Giancarlo Stanton, let Bellinger, let Chisholm, everybody else. I want somebody else to beat me. Like when the Yankees didn't pitch to Aaron Judge and pitched around him, and they pitched to Bellinger, he hit that grand slam. I'd rather let Bellinger beat me. You can't let Aaron Judge beat me because that's the obvious choice of a guy that's probably going to do the most damage. Let somebody else beat you. That's what you have to do when you don't have no pitching going in this freaking series. Pitch around Aaron Judge. That should be like on a board somewhere in the clubhouse. Don't pitch to Aaron Judge. If you do, you're off this team. Like that's what should be. That should be what's happening right now. You saw Toronto, right? I'm not saying that the reason why Toronto won all 4 games against the Yankees was because they walked Aaron Judge, I think it was 5 times in that series. And the one time they did pitch him, he had a 2-run homer to tie the game. So, that's how good he is. Like, take a plan out of the Blue Jays handbook and walk Aaron Judge. Let somebody else beat you. There's nobody hot enough in this lineup. Even if when Judge is cold, he's dangerous. There's, Bellinger, it's kind of a hit or miss. Stanton is still trying to figure things out. Chisholm has probably been their other better hitter, but I'd rather let Chisholm try to beat us because it's more likely that Aaron Judge is going to knock one over the wall every freaking single time you pitch to him than anybody else. So, yeah, Camilla, you can talk about the coward's way out anybody as much as you want. I'm sorry. It's just it would be a dumb move. It would be stupid. Because more often than not, Aaron Judge is going to burn you. And it's stupid. Like, again, in the first inning, whatever. Even if Dominguez gets on, go after him. But after that, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not saying you're up 5-0 and Judge is at the plate and you're up 5-0 and there's nobody on base. Yeah, you go after him then. But if it's a close game, I'm not letting him beat us. You don't let the best player on this team beat you. You let other guys beat you. Because more often than not, they fail a hell of a lot more than Aaron Judge. Now, again, that doesn't mean the Mets are going to win here if they pitch around Aaron Judge and other guys beat you. But again, I'd rather tip my cap to other guys beating us in the lineup. So, we'll see. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen in this series. Both teams playing like shit. Both teams lost first place. The Yankees finally lost first place yesterday. And again, it's not the end of the world, right? I think both of these teams are going to be fine when it comes to playoff time or getting into the playoffs. But there's a lot of concerns for both teams, right? The starting pitching the bullpens for both teams are terrible and in shambles. Now, I'm going to give the pitching matchups in this series to the Yankees because duh. And the lineup, I don't know. Like, if you just look at it on paper, I could say, well, you know what? I like the Mets lineup a little bit better, but both of these lineups haven't been good. Again, in the Toronto series, the Yankees scored some runs. The Mets really haven't. So it's going to be, look, this is the fascinating series. Obviously it's quote unquote bragging rights, and it's always fun, the Subway Series, going back and forth, Mets, Yankees, and all that stuff. But it's fascinating because both of these managers are kind of handcuffed. Both bullpens are completely depleted. The Yankees are a little bit more healthier than the Mets bullpen wise, but Boone doesn't have anybody to trust in that bullpen right now. Weaver gave up a huge home run to George Springer yesterday to basically seal the deal to sweep the Yankees. Even what's his face? I can't even remember the Brewers closer or old closer. I forgot his name already. Jesus, but you know what I'm talking about. He looked terrible in his last outing. Both managers are really like, what the hell am I going to do here? Boone probably can't wait until this game's over today, win or lose. Obviously he wants to win, but he wants to get to Rodon and Fried, because obviously that's a hell of a lot more hope than the Mets have. So I don't know what's going to happen, guys. Devin Williams, thank you, committee. I had a brain fart there. But yeah, so I want to be confident, but I don't know. Look, if you're a Mets fan or a Yankees fan right now going into the series, nobody should feel confident. Just watch the game, have a beer, and relax. Or you probably won't relax, but have a beer and watch the game and see what happens. I'm most likely going to do it in-game live. I know that's up right now. If about an hour away from the game, I'm going to try to do quick errands before the game. So if I do the in-game live, it will be up. If not, I will do a post-game show after the game. So I just want to let everybody know about a 50-50 chance about the watch party during the game. I'm hoping I can do it. Trying to get I was supposed to do a half-hour show, but we got into it. I got into it a lot. But yeah, it goes. Stroman can stick it to the Mets all he wants, but he does suck. Now, again, the Mets suck. Their lineup has been terrible. So, would I be shocked if Stroman pitches decent against the Mets? Probably not. And it's probably the Mets' ball more than Stroman pitching good. So, I'm going to find positivity to end this stream. Beat the fucking Yankees. All right? Right? They shut up about Soto because they can't say anything about Soto right now. He was the player of the month in June. I know the Mets didn't do a lot of winning in June, but again, we all know baseball isn't a one-man team, even though the Yankees kind of find a way to make Aaron Judge the one-man team. But, the Yankees have good starting pitching, or at least did with Rodon and Fried. So, they got stoppers, unlike the Mets. So positive here, go out there and dominate a ball game if you're the Mets lineup, right? Stroman isn't very good. Now, you might make him look good because the Mets lineup has make everybody look good. Go out there, score some runs, hang him in a chance. How about that? Give him a chance. This is an opportunity for the New York Mets at home, and yes, there will be Yankee fans there. Oh, I know, relax. I know. But Met fans need to be loud, just like they were in that Brewer series. That whole Brewer series was just outstandingly loud. And that was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I know one day was before the 4th, but it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it was crazy at CitiField. Met fans, dominate the ballpark. Let the Mets hear you, that they're behind you. I know, even Keith Hernandez and Gary Cohen, they talked about it yesterday on the broadcast. It felt like the 10th man. It felt like that. That's how crazy it was. There's an opportunity here where the Mets need to do what they need to do. They've been so good at home. Continue it. Who cares who you play? Right? This is the opportunity for Soto to beat up on his old team. Pete Alonso looked a little bit better at the plate yesterday. Nimmo has been red hot. Lindor has been coming along. You're finally getting all 4 of these guys kind of figuring it out at the same time, which they never do. So it'd be a nice time to do it. So with that said, guys, Subway Series Game 1, CitiField. Beautiful day on this 4th of July. Independence Day, national pastime, nothing better than that. Grab a beer, get some food. Got an hour until game time. I'm hoping I can do this in-game live watch party for you guys. If not, I do apologize. If I don't get back in time from the errands, I will just wait until post game, and I could probably scream about a victory or scream about a loss. So with that said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Amazing Mets pregame show. Keep an eye out on the watch party live at 2:50. If it's still up, I'll be doing it. If not, I'll see you on the post game show, guys. Let's go, Mets. Beat those Yankees. Let's go, Mets, guys.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, repping both hoods. Rob and